mining towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome everyone to Radio Free New York. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us. And I think we have Bob Savage in studio.
You think correctly.
All right, good. How you doing, Bob?
I'm doing well. Boy, it's like the extended summer, the endless summer. I know that I'll pay for making that comment publicly on the air, but
oh yeah,
it's been fantastic.
No, I will enjoy it while we can, and you know, one of the things I do like coming out of all this is actually I love eating outside, and I love that a lot of places have expanded their outdoor eating spaces. So this has been great for me, and now it's going to be interesting to see them try to squeeze that into December as everything freezes up. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a run on those propane heaters, those tall heater stand things, radiant heaters that because really in Western New York you're dependent on those things if you're going to stay open much past Halloween.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, I saw those online. I saw someone selling them for $140, and my wife's like, "Oh, we should buy a couple of those. Like, we'll just so we can eat outside." I was like, we'll wait a couple weeks, maybe." No, that was a mistake. They're all gone.
Yeah.
Can't find them anywhere.
I didn't know they were that cheap. I thought those big heater stands were more like $400 or $500, but anyway.
Usually they are. I made the mistake of not listening to my wife and not buying the heaters. So that was
always a problem. Just ask her; she'll tell you.
Yeah, no, she does. She's reminded me like 2 or 3 times now. Hey, you remember that time that we didn't buy those heaters? I was like, all right, it was 2 weeks ago. Fine. That's all right. Maybe an opportunity will come around again. But in the meantime, we have beautiful weather out right now.
Yeah, so let's enjoy.
Absolutely. All right, so shifting into the topic of the day, one of the things that's going to come up, made a lot of noise in my newsfeed and making a lot of headlines nowadays is the Breonna Taylor case. Of course, just you're going to see a big rise in protests, and already have seen in the Rochester area, a rise in protests because a grand jury came to the decision that there would be no indictments for killing Breonna Taylor, and I'll get to that in a second. No indictments for Breonna Taylor for killing her. There was one police officer who was indicted for, I think it was wanton endangerment.
Wanton endangerment, yep.
Wanton endangerment.
Wanton endangerment is that's being careless when you're serving Chinese food, and so you don't want that to happen either. No,
important distinction.
Not to make light of the situation. But no, you're right. I mean, there were no indictments relating to the actual shooting of Breonna Taylor, which, of course, has sparked all the outrage and the protests. Fortunately, not anything that I guess you could really characterize as a property, mauling and destroying riot, but still some civil unrest.
Yeah, no. So some people are upset. You're going to hear a lot of people talking about that on many other shows on this station, on WYSL anyway. And that's not what I want to cover today. What I want to cover is just kind of what happened, going over the incident and talking about, is there a conflict between the right to defend your home from unknown intruders and the right of police officers who are conducting a legal raid to defend themselves as well? And I think that we may have a serious conflict of interest that requires an actual policy change in this situation. So let's just go over some of the facts of the situation. And that here's what's going on with the raid. And first of all, I wanted to dispel this myth. People think that the boyfriend, Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, who shot at the police officers was a drug dealer. That's not the case. You're kind of confusing two different guys. Um, you know, Jamarcus Glover was Breonna Taylor's ex-boyfriend, who apparently had received some packages at that same home. And I think the other guy, the gentleman who had shot at the police officers, the boyfriend at the time, was Kenneth Walker, was his name. So it's two different people. People are kind of conflating those in some of the memes and whatnot online. So two different people. So what happened with this is that the police had been doing an investigation on the ex-boyfriend, Jamarcus Glover, and had concluded that he had used that house to receive some type of drug packages, right? So they got a no-knock raid. They got a warrant to raid this house. It was a no-knock warrant, apparently, to be able to preserve evidence. So that's a tool police sometimes use to make sure that people can't destroy evidence or respond with force sometimes to these raids when they're conducting a legal arrest. Now, in this case, Jamarcus Glover was no longer living there, no longer doing business at this house, so the warrant was targeting kind of the wrong people in this case, but possibly the right house. When they conducted the raid, they apparently did decide to announce themselves, according to one witness, but there's several others who didn't hear that. But I want you to put yourself in the shoes of Kenneth Walker, an illegal gun owner who's living in this house. And
I'm sorry, did you say it was a legal gun owner?
Yes.
My information was it was an illegal handgun, but
as everything that I've read says that he had a legal gun. And in fact, he was cleared of charges for attempted murder in part because of this.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you have other information?
Yeah, I can't cite the source right now, but the word that we had was it was an illegal gun. But let's just lay that aside.
Yeah. So anyhow, this is, I want you to put yourself in the shoes of Kenneth Walker. It's 12:40 a.m. You hear big pound on your door. You don't know who it is. They yell something. You can't hear it. This guy's thinking, Kenneth Walker's thinking, maybe this is related to the ex-boyfriend, the drug dealer. Doesn't know. Grabs his firearm, thinks he needs to defend the house. As soon as they break in the door, Kenneth Walker fires a shot. And again, he had a. I'm looking at this. I'll share an article with the folks who are listening online too. It's a David French's account of this, which I think is a pretty good one. He fired a shot, hit a police officer. I think he hit him in the leg. The police officers at this point, they see someone shooting at them. They try to take out Walker, make sure they take care of that threat to themselves. And in that process, they killed Breonna Taylor, who is there's all these things going around on the left wing side saying like Breonna Taylor's sleeping and they shot her. She wasn't. No, she wasn't exactly.
No, she was
sleeping.
not sleeping. She was in the hallway.
She was in the hallway. She was up and trying to see what was going on. Right. Still not doing anything wrong. Still didn't deserve to die, but was in the hallway trying to see what was happening. And in the process, the police officers trying to take out Kenneth Walker, they killed Breonna Taylor. And then the officer who ended up getting the charge filed, again, not for Taylor, it was because they had shot through the apartment into a neighboring home or neighboring apartment. And I guess he had fired through a sliding glass door and through a window into an apartment that had another family in it.
Well, not intentionally. And that's wanton endangerment means, anybody who owns firearms knows that you have to be, number one, you have to be sure of your target, and number two, you have to be sure of what's behind your target at all times. And that was apparently, in the view of the investigators, not adequately taken into account in this incident.
Right. And that's exactly what that charge is for. It was, there's people being like, he's getting charged for damaging the wall. No, didn't get charged for damaging the wall. Got charged because this officer recklessly fired, not understanding the target that was behind the window in the wall that he shot through, which could have hurt or killed a family whose apartment had been struck by those bullets. But we'll come back and we'll discuss the issue is, were both Kenneth Walker and the police legally right in this situation? And if they are, how do we solve this conflict? We'll be back on Radio Free New York in just a few minutes.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Escape from the everyday to a getaway at Woodcliff Hotel and Spa. Woodcliff features elegantly appointed accommodations, creative cuisine, themed suites, full-service spa Elan, and is Rochester's best venue for outdoor wedding receptions overlooking the city skyline. Woodcliff Hotel and Spa, where the experience is extraordinary. Located in Fairport, call 585-381-4000 or visit woodcliffhotelspa.com.
A reminder from Abate Monroe County. American bikers aim toward education. Distracted driving is dangerous, so pull over and eat. Don't try to read your mail and newspaper, and stay off your cell phone. Make a mental note to be more alert, making it a habit to expect the unexpected. Remember to look twice. Save a life. Train yourself to watch for motorcycles which are harder to see. Join Abate, and your family will be protected with a free $4,000 accident policy. Ride safe. Ride free. Ride often. Abate. If you ride with us. Google Abate Monroe County.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
Welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here on WYSL. We're here live noon to 1 on this Friday. And, of course, down the line, WACK out in Newark and WENY, The Patriot, down in the southern tier. Thank you so much for listening. And, of course, our friends online on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, all those places. You guys rock. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. And we now have someone who has called in, Paul Simonelli, who is a lawyer and a host, I believe, here on WYSL, too, has called in to weigh on this issue. Paul, are you with us?
I'm with you.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
Paul's the host of Valor Radio on the WYSL stations here in the Rochester home market, and we wanted to touch base on this, in light of the Breonna Taylor case, which of course is uppermost in the headlines. I want to talk about castle doctrine, protecting yourself under circumstances. We've just run down what those are in the Taylor case. How that would play in New York State in an identical set of circumstances, Colonel.
Well, I'm not sure what you put out as the facts, and I have not followed in detail the facts of that case, but generally speaking, in New York, if we don't have a classic castle doctrine in New York. If someone enters your house and in order to benefit from Article 35 of the Penal Law, which is the use of physical force or use of deadly physical force in defense of self or others, in order to benefit from that, you have to establish that your actions were reasonable given everything that you knew at the time that you exercised that use of force, and that a reasonable person similarly situated it was reasonable based on a reasonable person similarly situated.
Okay, so, Colonel, let's just touch on what that means. Reasonable. What is a reasonable, the reasonable standard, I guess is what I'm getting to.
Right. Well, it's interesting. It's actually partially subjective and partially objective, and that's why I said it the way I said it. So first, a jury would be asked to put themselves in your shoes, what you knew, what you believed to be true when you acted the way you did. Okay? And now, so if you believe that the people entering, let's take it out of the home, that you believe that someone was threatening you with the use of deadly physical force, then you would be justified if that belief was reasonable. Now, why would you believe that? Well, there could be a lot, and this is how it's a very fact-based analysis to determine if your actions were reasonable. So if I know that Bob Savage has a reputation for violence and that he's been arrested 5 times in bars for cracking pitchers of beer over people's heads when he's had too much to drink, and he's confronting me now and he's picking up a pitcher of beer, is it reasonable for me to believe that he's going to use that pitcher of beer on me? I would say yes. So that's my subjective belief. Now, so a jury would have to determine that, yeah, that was reasonable, that you believe that based on everything you knew. How about if someone had said Bob had been arrested 5 times and he actually never had been arrested, but someone had told you that he had been arrested for 5 times for smashing pitchers of beer over someone's head? That still is reasonable. It doesn't have to be true. It's based on what your beliefs are, and so the veracity of that information, so it doesn't even need to be true. So it's a very subjective, what did I know when you were coming at me with that pitcher of beer and threatening me?
Okay, so just let's put this in the context of the Breonna Taylor case, at least so far as we believe the facts to be. And Kevin can jump in here anytime. We have this paramedic. I think she's a first responder, or Breonna Taylor, and she's in the apartment with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend apparently does have a sheet, but not related to any drug activity, which is alleged to have been taking place with Breonna Taylor's former ex-boyfriend in that apartment. The Louisville police had the apartment under surveillance for 2.5 months, and they decided, based upon facts known to the cops, that there was an opportune time for them to conduct a raid. They did it's being inaccurately called a no-knock raid on the apartment at night. According to the police, they announced themselves repeatedly and asked for the door to be opened. The boyfriend who was with Breonna Taylor disputed that. So that's some of the problems with the Breonna Taylor case, is that we have these conflicts in matters of fact that will have to be obviously hashed out in a court of law. But anyway, the police breach the door. The boyfriend opens fire on the officers. They open fire. They return fire, and Breonna Taylor is killed. So tell us how that would sift out a situation like that in New York.
Okay, so once again, I'm not giving legal advice here, but we're just talking through scenarios here. So
hypothetical.
Hypothetically speaking, depending on, so let's take the boyfriend who did the shooting, the boyfriend who initially engaged. He's the initial. So the first thing you have to do in New York is determine who the initial aggressor is, because the person who's the initial aggressor can't use self-defense, Article 35, if they are the initial aggressor. Now, that can change, obviously.
All right, let me stop you for just a quick second. What about breaching the door? Is that aggression?
Well, that's what I was going to say. So his position would be them breaching the door was made, whoever was breaching the door, it happened to be police, made the initial aggressors, which was the first hurdle he would have to be justified in using deadly physical force against them. All right? And so if it was reasonable for him to believe that those people breaching the door were willing to use deadly physical force against him or a third party, then that's the first step or the second step in the analysis. Was his subjective belief reasonable? What he believed to be happening? Now, I will tell you I'll give you an actual case that I prosecuted as a prosecutor. Back in the very early 90s, there were people doing drug house robberies wearing FBI, state police, city police, nylon jackets.
Actually, that's that kind of thing, that phenomenon is distressingly common these days. Police impersonators.
Right, and so I actually had where someone used, who ended up assaulting two police officers. Thank God he didn't use deadly physical force, but because that was very prevalent in Rochester. There had been 4 or 5 of them within 6 months in the Rochester area. And the officers in that case, it was sort of an interesting case. They always, their general order said they had to have someone in uniform with them all the time when they were when they were trying to serve a bench warrant. And they were anxious, and they didn't wait for the officer in uniform to arrive, so that's exactly what they were doing. They were wearing nylon jackets that said Rochester Police Department. Now, one had the badge around the neck, one had it clipped to his belt. And the guy ended up using substantial force, and he hurt both these police officers and got charged with assault second. Ultimately, the jury decided that he was justified when he got on the stand and said why he did what he did and what his thought process was in that whole thing. So going back to the hypothetical, so when they entered that by force, I think they would be classified as the initial aggressor. Now, that being said, did he have a right to use deadly physical force at that point? Well, in New York, once again, if he reasonably believed that they were going to use deadly physical force on him or cause serious physical injury to him or a third party, then the boyfriend would be justified in using it.
Okay, but of course, now, again, this is a question of fact because we have 2 versions of what preceded the breaking down of the door. The police saying that they repeatedly identified themselves as police and demanded that the boyfriend, Breonna Taylor, whoever's in the apartment, open the door. The boyfriend says he never heard it. So that has to be determined as a matter of fact at trial.
Right.
And
And typically, there are no charges against Kenneth Walker at this time. There's the discussion of charging him with attempted murder for this, but that was dropped. As I understand, there's no charges against him at this time.
Well, maybe the investigation is continuing. Go ahead, Paul.
So, at some point, did it become reasonable for him to know that those were police officers that were in the house when he started shooting? Was he shooting at a target? Was he shooting at a sound? Was he shooting at movement? So once again, these are all very fact dependent. And if they were identifying themselves as police officers, if they were dressed as police officers, those are the things that a jury would have to determine to determine whether or not he was justified in shooting at those police officers.
All right, the host of Valor Radio, Colonel Paul Simonelli, thanks so much for joining us for the program. And Kevin, I'll let you take it out.
All right, yeah, thank you so much, sir. Appreciate you coming in and weighing in on this. We'll be back here on Radio Free New York in just a few minutes.
Vote for law and order. AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. We'll have mainly clear skies, comfortably mild. We'll stay in the 50s and low 60s. Again, just a gorgeous weekend coming up.
This town smells fantastic.
Nice and warm in the 70s and 80s. Clear skies Saturday night in the low 60s. Another sunny, warm day on Sunday in the low 80s. The chance for showers will increase as we head into early next week. I'm Rich Cornelia, WYSL.
At Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Anthony Drive off Route 96 in Victor, they've got great lease deals on Jeeps. For a limited time, lease a 2020 Jeep Grand Cherokee, just $299 a month for 42 months. Lease a 2020 Jeep Cherokee 4x4, only $289 a month for 36 months. Or lease the 2020 Jeep Compass 4x4 for $239 a month for 36 months. Jeep, America's iconic four-wheel drive brand, and Victor's got a great selection. Shopping for a pickup? Victor's got lease deals on those too. Check these examples, like a 2020 Ram 1500, just $239 a month for 36 months, or a 2020 Ram 1500 Classic for just $199 a month for 36 months. Be sure to get full details from the dealer. Equipment and MSRP vary by model. We're here to fully serve Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram customers in Victor, Canandaigua, Macedon, Fairport, and throughout the Metro and Finger Lakes. Shop with confidence and safety and full CDC compliance. Victor, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, 6560 Anthony Drive in Victor, where you can save on America's favorite four-wheel drive vehicles.
Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg died on September 18th. Trump expects to nominate her successor on Saturday. Ginsburg is widely known for redefining God-given freedom as government license. The Supreme Court's role is designed to safeguard the citizens' God-given constitutional rights from legislative encroachment. Ginsburg was a controversial figure precisely because many of her legal positions intentionally invaded those rights, like life, with fabrication of new liberties like abortion. On the battlefield of inalienable rights, the opinion of many is that Ginsburg often fought for the government. Replacing Ginsburg on the bench is contentious because it represents a battle for liberty, carrying the real risk of morphing a once noble and free people into a weak and servile state. For a full transcript, go to realabortionnews.com. This Real Abortion News Update is sponsored by Compass Care.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whenever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Hi, I'm Nicolina Frisk, Senior Media Major at Roberts Wesleyan College. NCAA Division II is a collection of more than 300 colleges and universities whose athletics programs foster a balanced and inclusive approach in which student-athletes learn and develop through their desired academic pursuits in service to their communities, in athletics competition, and earn athletic scholarships for their skills and expertise. I'm Nicolina Frisk. I chose D2 at Roberts Wesleyan College, and I encourage you to do the same. For all your Redhawks information, visit robertsredhawks.com. Roberts Wesleyan, Rochester's only NCAA D2 scholarship college.
With colder weather coming, know that Turnbull, your York certified comfort expert dealer, has the highest quality, most reliable York systems with the best warranty in the business. Install confidence this winter season with Turnbull Heating in York. 10-year parts and labor warranty, 0 interest up to 18 months, more than $300 in utility rebates, and 24/7 service by certified Turnbull technicians. Install confidence this season with Turnbull and York.
You'll be comfortable with the best. Turnbull Heating and Air.
Call Call 343-2005 in Avon 226-6180.
It's my favorite time of the year, fall.
Oh boy, every guy knows what that means.
I want to go get a pumpkin and I want to...
Honey, why don't we just go to Colby's and Rush?
Colby's, isn't that a summer place?
Yeah, but this year they have a fall pumpkin festival.
Really? At Colby's?
Yeah, they're gonna have any size pumpkin for $5, pumpkin ice cream, milkshakes, cannolis, pies, and so much more.
Well, this just made my fall so much better. Let's go to Colby's.
Take a drive to Colby's Pumpkin Fest, September 22nd through October 11th. All things pumpkin and any size pumpkins only $5. Open Tuesday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
See, Kevin, we got experts on tap.
I know.
Whatever you need, whatever subject, we just dial them up and there they are.
That's right. The awesome host and just litany of experts that we have here, WSL. It's awesome. Love it. So thank you again, Paul Simonelli, for coming in and weighing in on this and helping us understand better how kind of castle doctrine works and how we can understand this. And again, I want to kind of clarify what the situation is with Kenneth Walker. He was initially charged with attempted murder. They dropped the charges, but I guess it was dropped without prejudice, which means he could be charged again later.
Right.
So it's dropped for now. So that's what the situation is.
Yeah, it's going to be a fluid situation for a while. Because when did this happen? Like Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that?
Yeah, the grand jury decision did.
Okay.
But the actual thing happened months ago.
Oh, okay.
It was a while ago. And kind of my thoughts around this discussion and why I was thinking about it isn't just... I'm not trying to cast blame on Kenneth Walker here, because I think I look at the situation, I think that, given his knowledge of the circumstances, he says that the police didn't announce themselves. 11 other witnesses say the police did not announce themselves. The police say they announced themselves. It was a no-knock warrant, and that was on the warrant, but they did apparently knock. The knocking thing happened, but Kenneth Walker and his defense attorneys say that he had a reason to believe it was like the ex-boyfriend or someone going after the ex-boyfriend, which in a sense it was, but it was the police. And again, in this situation, I want to think like, for everyone listening who's a gun owner, like what do you do in this situation, right? Like if the police come to the wrong house or after the wrong person, or there's a misunderstanding,
or the people are police impersonators, as we talked about
exactly
during Colonel Simonelli's discussion. And that, by the way, that is more common than you think. Just Google that subject, and all kinds of really scary news stories will come up.
Yeah, no, it's awful. And again, as a legal gun owner, you don't. I don't think anyone like Kenneth Walker didn't want to shoot with the police. We don't want to shoot the police if they're conducting a legal warrant, but what do you do in this situation, and how do we make sure that this doesn't happen again? And I want to think about just from a systematic perspective, right? Do these types of raids make sense? I mean, are they necessary for gathering evidence and getting justice? I
would say the answer to that is it all depends. I mean, not to be glib about it, but every circumstance, every case is going to be different. And if we're going to, close down illegal drug traffic and all the ills that bestows upon society, in some cases we're going to have to take kind of paramilitary actions. And this is the important point to make too. The exertion of force, the projection of force, is always ugly. It never looks good. From a PR standpoint, it's always repellent to the general public.
Yeah. No, and it's repellent to me, because I look at situations like this and I think, is it police killed Breonna Taylor? That established fact. Maybe they legally were able to do this without being held accountable, but the fact is that the police did kill her. That police actions in the war on drugs resulted in a woman dying, right? And I look at the overall scope of the war on drugs and how it's conducted and the paramilitary tactics associated with it, and I don't think it's worth it. I don't know that the cost of doing that, both financially and in terms of human lives, and lives destroyed both by being in jail for some things of drug trafficking, the dangers of the black market, and the dangers of, again, interactions with police, I think the cost is too high. I think that this situation is a result of the war on drugs. And I think a lot of people want to say they want to blame the Kentucky AG, they want to blame the individual police officers, and sure, that's fine. But to me, I see a system that runs into conflict. That when we have a system, again, where Kenneth Walker, who is, again, from everything I've read, a legal gun owner who had a reasonable belief that he was in danger and that his girlfriend, Breonna Taylor, was in danger, we have a conflict between that system and the way police conduct themselves with these types of raids. And this isn't the last time that this is going to happen. It's not the first time it's happened. Again, we've covered this a couple times on the show. And so something's got to break. We can't just look at I think a lot of people are understandably frustrated that they look at this situation and they say, well, technically everyone was legally right. How does that make sense?
Well, no, what you got is you got two versions of the story, and only one can be true. That's basically what's coming down, at least as regards the no-knock actions of the police when they arrived on the scene. Two troubling things about this, as far as I'm concerned. One is what happened to the body camera footage. The body camera footage was excised. I mean, it was disposed of, or it wasn't working, or for some reason it's not available. Why? How did that happen? How many officers were there? Three involved in the incident, and none of the body cameras were working. That's troubling.
Seems to happen a lot.
I don't know about that, but we're just talking about this case. And this case, the fact that we had 3 body cams being worn by the officers, they were turned off, or the files were disposed of, or for some reason there was a malfunction or something. So that right there is problematic in establishing their claim that they had identified themselves as officers. That's one. Two, problem number 2 I have is Breonna Taylor took 5 or 6 rounds. Kenneth Walker had minor injuries, if any at all. How did she wind up being shot so many times?
That's a great question. And that's, the police are saying, well, they missed, basically. That's what they're saying.
Well, how would she be in a position? Kenneth Walker is you're returning fire to someone, and so that process when you've been fired upon, you fire at the source of the rounds that have been fired at you. Was Breonna Taylor being used as a human shield? I don't know. I'm just putting the question out there because that would explain what happened.
There's no evidence of that.
That we know of thus far. But
I feel like if the police had evidence of that, they would have said so. Why would they cover that? I'm sorry. That's made up, Bob. It's
made up in the sense that it's a hypothetical as a potential explanation. I mean, I don't know, but it runs contrary to common sense that she would have been the victim of the shooting.
Yeah. No, I don't understand why she would have been the victim of the shooting either. And I guess that's a question that the AG and the grand jury should have, in theory, handled and addressed, and maybe they did. But we don't know what went on in those discussions. And then the other part of that too is that Breonna Taylor wasn't given aid for her injuries for a while. It took a long time to get her medical aid in that situation.
Well, the scene would have to be stabilized, obviously, and it would have to be stabilized and rendered safe before first responders could get to Breonna.
Yeah, and in this situation, they weren't able to stabilize the scene quickly enough, and she bled out. This is an awful situation. I look at this situation. I get the frustration of people in the street. I get the police officers. If someone's firing at them, it's not unreasonable to return fire. But I think the system that we have doesn't make sense. I think that the system of no-knock raids, or, in this case, a confusion about who is at the door, and I think that's we can say that there's confusion, it seems, of who is at the door.
Well, it has to be acknowledged that if in the middle of the night, somebody's pounding on your door, and it's a tense and scary situation, and I hear voices saying, "Open up, it's the police," that doesn't necessarily settle it. And I think that that's an issue that really needs to be addressed. How are police to identify themselves in a way that is believable to the person on the other side of that door?
Yeah. No, that's the big question. There are several big questions, but that's a big one. It's how do they identify themselves in a way that's believable? Because I think if we don't resolve this, it's not just going to be people like Kenneth Walker and Breonna Taylor. It's going to be many of us, legal gun owners, who are confused and upset and don't understand if it's police or an actual criminal at the door. All right, we'll be back here on Radio Free New York in just a few minutes. Thanks for listening.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
If you're looking to market and grow your business, make new business connections, and give back to the community in a meaningful way, consider joining the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce. We're the largest suburban chamber in Monroe County, and we offer networking, education, marketing, insurance, and advocacy. You do not need to live or work in Greece to join. Our members come from throughout the region. In short, we're better together, and together, we're moving business forward. Visit greecechamber.org or call 585-227-7272 to join today.
A reminder from Abate Monroe County. American bikers aim toward education. Distracted driving is dangerous, so pull over and eat. Don't try to read your mail and newspaper, and stay off your cell phone. Make a mental note to be more alert, making it a habit to expect the unexpected. Remember to look twice. Save a life. Train yourself to watch for motorcycles which are harder to see. Join Abate, and your family will be protected with a free $4,000 accident policy. Ride safe. Ride free. Ride often. Abate. If you ride with us. Google Abate Monroe County.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Bob Savage. And thanks for sticking with us today with this tough discussion of Breonna Taylor and policing and defending your home. I think we'll have more discussions on this type of stuff too. I think it's important to the Second Amendment community, to the people who are supportive of the police, who want police officers to be safe in their role too, and the people who want justice in this situation. They don't want to see people dying at the hands of government officers either. So I think there's think everyone has an incentive to make sure that stuff like this doesn't happen. And we want to discuss the best ways to move forward.
Yeah, we can also be thankful for the fact that the rounds that the single officer was indicted for having fired, and that was the basis of the reckless, wanton endangerment. Is that what it was? Wanton endangerment, reckless endangerment. That those rounds did not injure somebody else, because easily they could have. And that's, again, as a firearms owner, be sure of your target and be sure of what's behind your target at all times.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll keep discussing this issue and keep finding ways to address this from a policy perspective. How can we do better here? But I did want to end on a little bit of a lighter note. It's Friday. We're going into the weekends. That's right. We're doing some fake news.
Fake News Friday, everybody.
All right. So what do I got for fake news
today? All right,
well,
you look for I got one while you look. Yeah, are you looking? Is that what the deal is?
No, I got one.
Okay, all right.
Did infamous Nazi Richard Spencer endorse Joe Biden?
Yeah, he's the is he the Klan? Richard Spencer.
He's not really the Klan guy. He's just some kind of other general Nazi pseudo-intellectual.
I remember him being in one of Dinesh D'Souza's movies. He's just kind of a nut bar. I think that's true.
Yeah, no, he did. Now, maybe he was trolling, but he said that Joe Biden was more competent. But maybe he was just doing it to get a rise out of people. But no, Joe Biden, he got that endorsement. I have no idea if Joe Biden rejected it or not, if he condemned that endorsement.
I think that Joe Biden might have difficulty understanding who Richard Spencer is at this juncture, unless, of course, it came up on a teleprompter.
That's true. I mean, if his speechwriters wrote it out for him, he would condemn it.
He'll say it. Yeah. See, by the way, cultural reference here, Ron Burgundy. All right, so I got one for you. Hang on for just a second. Lottery winner arrested for dumping $200,000 of manure on ex-boss's lawn. Man from Illinois arrested for getting $224K worth of manure dumped on his former employer's property only 2 weeks after he won $125 million at the lottery and quit his job. 54-year-old Brian Morris from the small town of Clarendon Hills in DuPage County bought over 20,000 tons of manure and asked for it to be dumped on his former boss's property, pretending it was his residence. Dozens of trucks filled with manure showed up in front of the house around 6 a.m. and began dumping on the lawn. Let's see. It took police more than 15 minutes to arrive on site. More than 10,000 tons of manure had already been dumped in the meantime. Lieutenant Frank Myers, a spokesman of the Clarendon Hills Police Department, met the press a few hours later to explain the motivations. The accused told us he'd worked for the victim for 17 years and was always treated like poop. He said he had to endure mistreatment because he needed the money, but now that he won $125 million, it was time for revenge. Fake or real?
Wow. I mean, if it is real, wow, there's someone put a lot of dedication into getting back at their boss. I'm gonna say it's fake news, though.
Yeah, it's fake.
Fake.
Yeah. It's a good story, though. Very well written. They've got, pictures here of the Clarendon Hills Police Department admitting their response time was inadequate. Said it would keep a close eye on Mr. Morris to avoid any more incidents. When asked by organizers what Morris would do with the money, he had simply answered at a press conference about winning the $125 million. Just read the news, you'll see. So, yeah, it's a fun story, but it's not real.
So you had plenty of details on this one, but and that's last time you almost got me with that Saudi Arabia story. I was like, no.
Oh yeah, where they had to kill the racehorse for being homosexual.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. All right, got another one. NBA players wear special lace collars to honor Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Real news or fake news?
That's hilarious. I am aware that that's fake, but you got these NBA players, and they're sitting there on the bench, and they've got Ruth Bader Ginsburg lace collars on. It's great.
Yeah, so it's like LeBron James with the lace
With the
collar.
lace
on.
collar. You really need the visual on this to really appreciate the story, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, I'll share it in the comments for people who are listening online. And if you're listening on the radio, go like our page and check it out later. Go to Radio Free New York on Facebook, and you'll see the comments of the story in there. But this got a lot of people, like a lot. Like I have several friends who shared this story around, and were like, "Oh man, this is such a great way to honor the legacy of Ruth Bader Ginsburg." And I was like, "Ooh, nope, that's not real." I wasn't the one to tell him. There's already like 20 comments in every one of these posts laughing about it.
Okay.
No, didn't happen.
I got a man, let's see here. I've got a man, Israel. Man claiming to be time traveler turns himself in for the killing of Jesus Christ.
Ooh. That's probably real.
The Jerusalem District Police has confirmed an unidentified man dressed in a Roman armor presented himself this morning in his headquarters carrying a blood-covered spear-like weapon. The man, who speaks only in Latin, identified himself as the Roman centurion Caius Longinus Anx Anumus and claimed to be a time traveler from the 1st century A.D.
Oh, well, I mean, that's the question. Could they authenticate it that? Was he there?
Well, that's once again, to use a phrase earlier from this program, that's a matter of proof. It's going to have to be established by facts. He said he was a Roman soldier and he'd killed Jesus because he was an enemy of Rome. He also says he realized too late that Jesus was the Messiah. Oops. The man also claimed God's tormented and tortured him for 2,000 years to punish him for his crimes.
Wow. Well, all right. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that one.
I would think you would probably not be expecting that one.
No, I mean, the only person I see talking about time travel nowadays, Vermin Supreme, he keeps saying he's going to time travel, go back in time, kill baby Hitler. He's the boot guy. He's a lot of fun. He's hilarious. He's a satirist, but hasn't made good on that promise, apparently.
Well, something to look forward to. I mean, hope springs eternal. No, that's fake.
Yeah. Fake. All right, so I got one more. A couple weeks ago, I saw this one. Did PETA ask Wegmans to stop selling coconut milk because it was produced by monkey labor?
I think that's true.
Yeah, it is true. Apparently that's an actual thing. Like they train monkeys to go and harvest coconuts for them, and PETA was not happy about it. And
but are they paying prevailing wage though? That's the issue.
See, that's the question. Like what's a fair wage for monkeys who are climbing up trees? They're providing a valuable service.
A certain number of bananas per hour? I mean, how does that work?
It's a good question. I mean, you'd have to ask the monkeys, right? Like, I mean, if they're happy with their position, great. If they're being treated well, cool. And I don't see any issue with it as long as the monkeys are happy.
Was the compensation arrived at through collective bargaining? Who's representing the monkeys?
Yeah, are the monkeys unionized?
Well, they should be. I mean, come on.
Someone's going to fight for their rights.
Danny Wegman is a big champion of the downtrodden. I mean, he was the first to ban the sale of cigarettes, and he's the first guy and probably the last to sue the Daniele family repeatedly to try to keep him from putting in a Whole Foods in Brighton that would compete with Wegmans. So, yeah. I mean, Danny's always looking out for the little guy.
That's right. Well, I have not seen a response.
In this case, the little hairy guy.
Yeah. I haven't seen the response yet to see how Wegmans is going to deal with the monkey labor situation and whether or not they'll allow for collective bargaining in this case.
Yeah, I knew it was true. I knew it was true.
It is true. But if we find out, we'll talk about it here on Radio Free New York. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next week, same time. Talk to you then.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Victor Chevrolet welcomes fall with this September.